Hello, everyone. How is it going? It's Thomas here from Broad Street Hockey, joined by three lovely people, and we have been in extensive conversations all season long. Um, Maddie Campbell, Jacob Russell, and Cole Keller, fellow BSH writers, prospect coverage that we've been giving you all. How long has it been? Like 6 weeks. We've been
Been a
writing about these
while.
guys. Yeah, how's it going, everyone?
Exhausted.
Yeah.
I'm pitching
we're-
a blue game today. I'm coming out of the pen. I'm pitching on 1 day's rest, basically today. So trying to power through here. I got some water in the background. I will have to mute to cough intermittently. Hopefully, I find the button in time.
Yeah, it's going well. I just got off of a hour and a half drive back and got right on the call. So here I am. I did the ranking last night. We're all set.
Perfect. So we came here today because we have plans to do a mock draft later. Spoiler alert, but we figured we should have like a consensus like blog ranking. You see all the prospect writers that have come out and be like, this is my ranking, whatever. So we have our own kind of way of going about this. We're gonna try to debate and make a consensus, and we all have preferences. Like I know Jacob likes one person that I don't particularly like, but we're gonna work through this. We're gonna work through our issues. This is therapy. This is prospect therapy. Yeah, might as well like get started because this has been an overall very interesting year from my point of view. I don't know about you guys, but like it's a year that obviously coming into it was like, oh, this is not so good. Like it's pretty shallow. And then the more I watch these guys, the more I've just like fallen in love with more players. I don't know if we could do general takeaways from the class before we kind of dive super into it.
Yeah, to me, I think there's actually it almost reminds me of last year's NBA draft where like there's a top player and then you kind of go through a list of kind of less sexy names throughout the top 10. But you get down to 20, 25, and you're like, well, all these guys can be very viable middle six players at the very least. And I think 10 to 20 we'll see is kind of a lot of preference, depending on like what teams need what. But I think there's actually a lot of depth here, at least in the first round, to go around.
Yeah, like it's not mushy middle, right? So anyways, cool.
Yeah, I had a similar takeaway. I think the defenseman class I found is a little bit weaker than than previous years. I think as we get to the later rounds, the depth of the forwards in particular, and I think there's a good mix of like swing with especially a lot of the Swedish forwards. There's a good mix of swing and a lot and lower risk middle six upside type guys. I think there was a surprising amount of depth for me in this class as well, and also within that top 6 or so. I think it's more so like a top 8. So I have thoughts on that we'll get into later. Yeah.
Yeah. Maddie?
Yeah, it just seems like a bit of a telephone game phenomenon. Like for the longest time, everybody's saying like, oh, it's not as good of a draft. It's not as deep as a draft. And when you start to actually look at it, you're like, oh, it's actually not so bad. I can form my own opinions and not just get like compounded through what everybody else is saying. So it's fine.
Yeah,
everybody's getting worked up for nothing.
Lots of groupthink going on of like
Yeah.
people just listening to other people say the exact same thing. Anyways, that's too much to go into it. But yeah, and Cole, you brought the Swedish forwards and the utility, and I made sure that Gustav Hillstrom was well represented on my ranking. I just switched the tabs. I'm like, please, okay, he's there. Don't worry. So yeah, so we might as well get into it. Like the full ranking. I think obviously it's led by 2 players, but it's the order of the 2 players that if we want to get spicy, we can do it. But so it's Matthew Schaefer and Michael Misa. How do we want to order these? Like, do we all agree that it's just these 2 players in a separate tier?
Yes,
You just nod.
Yes.
And, yeah. Okay.
Yes.
I think so. I think that's a pretty safe assumption to make at this point.
Yeah. So I have Schaefer ahead of Misa just by the little dynamism of him and how and Mike Misa's safe, my point of view, and I think he's a better like. I don't know. My gut just tells me Schaefer Misa. I don't know if anyone else had Misa above Schaefer around here.
I have flip-flopped in my mind. I put them on about the same tier, personally. I like Misa. I think Misa's such a safe bet that I love his 200-foot game. I think he's really like a lot of those skills are transferable to the NHL. And he's not small. I think he's a center, and I mean I think a lot of that boils down to whether or not you think Misa's a center at the NHL level, and I personally do. So yeah, like I think he at the worst. See, like I think for the Sharks having Celebrini and Misa, it's like a setup for the next 15 years if you can hold on to them, right? So Schaefer missed a lot of the year, and I'm not saying that should hurt his draft stock, but I was kind of surprised it didn't more.
I think for me, I had Schaefer just a little bit ahead, just because of the dynamicism to his game. And I think when I watched anything Matthew Schaefer related, you knew he was the focal point of that Erie team. You knew he was the focal point of that Canada team. Every team he played on, I thought that there was a sense that Schaefer was the guy and he took over games. And I think when you just watch him, whether it's the skating, whether it's kind of the offensive sense and like his ability to engage on both ends, I think that Schaefer's ability just to completely take over, and your takeaway when you leave watching a Erie game or a Canada World Juniors game is that Schaefer's the best player on the ice. I thought that was a little bit more apparent than it is with Misa, and I think that kind of just gut feel is where I'm going with that one.
Yeah, Schaefer's just got that like little bit extra, I would say. It's close, but like not close enough for me to make it like a really difficult decision, you know?
Yeah, that's my whole thing. Like, and Cole, you touched on like the best player on the ice, and I think it's part of my brain is like it's like the brain versus heart thing of like brain would be like Misa, it'd be like, well, he's the most impactful, like whatever player, like he's so productive, he's so intelligent with his play, and even though if you don't notice him, he's gonna score like 40-50 goals. He can easily like a Zach Hyman-esque 40-50 goals like from the net front, but a way better shot. With Schaefer, it's just like he's a player that will like actually get you out of your seat kind of with that skill and with that skating. So I think that just edges it a little bit closer. It just like my gut feeling. So could we confidently say Schaefer above Misa?
Yeah. No, I like to raise the question, but I think it's still pretty clear who's going one, who's going two, and I'm not against that.
Sorry, I was quickly typing. I should not have a handheld mic for this because I'm typing at the same time.
Yeah.
So should I probably share my? It's just a
you
white.
Look like you look like a baseball announcer.
Yeah, I know. It's fun.
It is fun. No, I would rather do it, but it does make noise. Technically, for broadcasting,
yeah,
it's supposed to be good.
So, okay, I'm making a doc. So, okay, for me, the next group of players that we should talk about is obviously Hagens and Martone, I think. So, what are people's thoughts of them in the net? Like, is one of those players at 3 for everyone, or is it a wild card?
I would say the 3 spot is very up in the air. I think it falls down to a lot of need. So a team like,
well, this is a ranking.
Yeah, I know.
Like
that's what I'm saying, though. You know,
team
like
context. I know.
That's what I'm saying. You know, like I don't think that Frondell and Hagens and Martone are so far apart. I think they're all kind of in that same tier. Especially if Frondell moved to wing. Is he a better winger than Porter Martone at the NHL level? Because Martone's not necessarily the power forward that everyone makes him out to be, just yet. Yeah. I still think, personally, to me, I still like Hagens at 3. Like maybe not a tier above Martone. I think Hagens and Martone probably remain in the same sort of space for me, but they're such different players. It's kind of hard to really lock in who's better than the other, because ideally they'd be playing very different roles. But I think it's still Hagens and Martone for me. I don't think the other two, those being Frondell and Desnoyers, have broken into that group for me, just behind the top 2.
Yeah, it's the same. I think I would give Hagens a little bit of an edge there. Like I would put him 3, but that's like being really reductive, I just value centers like a little bit more. So, but it's really close.
Yeah, I'm the same way. They give a lot of different things on the ice, and I think that it shouldn't be for team. We're not picking for team, obviously, but I do think you give the center a little bit of an edge there, especially a center who went to BC and is going to have another year of development at BC. I think I prefer that to Martone. So
Yeah, that's perfect. So I'm gonna put Higgins at 3. Are we comfortable with Martone at 4, or is there another player that should be should be above him?
No, I think I like Martone. He's kind of slid in the consensus, but I think he's the perfect winger to have alongside someone like Connor Bedard. That's why I'm kind of confused as to why the Blackhawks just seem destined not to do it. But I get if you put Frondell behind Bedard, and then if he has to push out to wing, then he can be the top line winger, whatever. But skill wise, like player to player, I like Martone's skill set much more. And I think he's just a guy who can immediately jump into the league if he had to. And he's not going to be a stud. Like, he's not going to be his full article if he did, but he would definitely be able to hang at this point.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll put Martone at 4. Maybe we should do. Sorry, I'm thinking of reformatting this whole thing all on the fly.
That's always good.
Because I was like, okay, it's been 12 minutes. We've gone through 4 players. Like, we have to do all 32. And I don't know if we're gonna be last that long. So my thought is that maybe we go in a circle in order, and someone like we offer up the next player, and then if someone has a big like opinion on it, then we can debate it. Like if someone like, so say Maddie, you're next. Who do you want at 5? Who do you want next? And then we talk about it and like go through a circle. How about that? Thinking on the fly. Okay. We're a democracy.
Sure, let's do that.
I don't know.
Yes.
Well, okay, if there's an issue with it, I don't know.
No, I don't care. Let's
cool.
go. Let's run it. Let's go.
Okay.
We'll turn these out. We got to move.
Do it different. Maddie, who do you have at 5? We'll go Maddie, Cole, Jacob, me.
Give me Frondell since we're talking about him.
Okay. Now comes the big discussion that I love to talk about, and I think we talked about it in our chat a lot, is Frondell over Eklund. I know Cole and I kind of agree with, like, I think Eklund's the more impactful player. I think he'll have a better NHL career. So I have Eklund over Frondell.
Yeah.
Cole, I assume you stayed with Eklund over Frondell. And
yeah,
Jacob, you can. Sorry.
Yeah, Eklund's going to be my 5th guy. I think Eklund's number 5 on my board, because I think if I look at like the question of who's going to have the most NHL impact and who's going to be the best player, especially on the offensive side, I think that you have a safer bet with Eklund than almost anybody in the class. He's a lot like his brother in San Jose, and he's a fun player to watch. He's always on the puck. He wins a crazy amount of battles. And then if you watch any of the games from Frondell and Eklund's Swedish team, when they're on a line together, Eklund's the primary puck carrier and Frondell is kind of a bit of a passenger. Now, Frondell has an ability to put the puck in the net like pretty much no one in this draft class does. But I do kind of lean towards Eklund's skill set if I'm trying to project to like an NHL top 6 winger. So I lean Eklund in that sense. Yeah.
Jacob, do you have an opinion?
Yeah, personally, I still have Frondell there
Okay.
at 5. I like the center aspect a bit more. I like the positional value.
Yeah.
But I think I'll have Eklund a bit later. I'll probably have him either 8, 9. He's in the top 10 still for me. But I do have a couple players ahead of him. I won't jump ahead, but I do have a couple players ahead of him. I like the player. I just don't know if the top ceiling is there. But like the way Cole describes it, of him being like a really good middle 6 winger, he does win a shitload of battles. Like he's just very tough. He's grindy. I really like the player. It's just, again, he doesn't have like the peak potential to take a swing, and maybe that's a bit of flyer brain as well. Like you want the high potential guy, and in that particular scenario, but I think I had him around. I think he'd be good for the Penguins. Actually, is what I was thinking at 11, because that just feels like a really safe, like Kyle Dubas.
Yeah.
Here, this is a guy. He will play NHL minutes one day. Just get off my ass, please.
That would kill me. That would kill me. But yeah, I agree.
Wow.
So Maddie, where do you have Eklund, for instance?
Probably like, I don't know, not as far as Jacob, but maybe not next necessarily.
Okay.
I didn't make a ranking. I'm
Okay.
flying a
that's
little
fine.
blind here.
It's fine. I rushed through it because I didn't even think about like my own individual ranking for a while, and I was like, oh, I should probably do that, and then become one of those people that like, well, on my ranking, then
Your opinion matters, Thomas.
no, I know.
I guess.
So spoiler, I have Eklund at 5. But I think for me it's just the transition game. Like Frondell doesn't have that.
Yeah.
It's moving the puck up the ice. It's the ability to play at such a high pace. Sorry, the person in the chat. It's the ability to just like play at an NHL level of speed, and then I could see that just translating super well. Like he might even be better than his brother, maybe, of just like moving the puck, getting into areas of the ice that complement his teammates so like well. I know like the maybe like a Nino Niederreiter like comparison a little bit of like, but with a little bit like more like offensive creation, like peaking as like a 70-point player kind of guy. So I think it's just like I love Eklund, but I would be fine with moving him down, and like I have Frondell at 7. So like I'd be fine having him at 5 if we can maybe agree on like Eklund being one of the next 2. Like, do you think they're in the same tier generally? Like, we could talk about that maybe.
I think so.
Yeah. I would think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I think Frondell and Eklund, you make a lot of comparisons to, because they played together. You can like for like.
You could directly compare, like same exact environment.
Yeah, the exact same place. And they played together, which also makes it like they got their own dynamic with one another. That kind of makes it weird to see their like solo evaluation. But yeah, I wouldn't say I like Eklund's skill set a lot. I really do. I think he's in that 3rd tier, and I think that 3rd tier is just pretty big, is what I've gathered.
Yeah. Okay. So. Are we in agreement with Eklund at 6? Would we say that?
Yeah, sure.
I'm good with that. I'm not gonna scream and yell about that.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Okay. Victor Eklund. I'll share this on the screen later. Or maybe we should put it in the chat. Pick 6 next week. Oh yeah. Okay. I'm gonna put in the chat our first 6 picks. Just someone else. Bring up someone else. Bring up like who's next? O'Brien, Denoyer, whatever.
Yeah, I guess we can talk about Denoyer. How do you guys feel about Caleb Denoyer and like his ultimate, top end potential as an NHL center? Maddie?
I think he's going to have a career, but like, I don't know. He just still doesn't really blow me away in the way that it seems like. It seems like people are acting like they're really blown away by him, and I don't understand that. I think that's maybe also an overcorrection. I don't know.
Yeah, I see a NHL center there. I like him. I think he's good. But I don't know if I see much more than a middle 6 guy who is probably leaning closer to late career Couturier rather than early career Couturier.
Oh my god. Oh.
Not that. Okay, well, not that that's bad.
No, I know it's not bad, but it's like, oh, this 18-year-old is actually going to be like a decrepit old man.
Well, he just doesn't have that burst, really. He doesn't have that. There's something there missing that he just hasn't gotten, and he's not going to the NCAA next year, so he's going to go back to Moncton and probably rip it up and have 130 points in the queue. And it's like, yeah, that's good, but I'm not sure exactly what you learn by doing that again. Especially after the Memorial Cup run, right?
A lot of I think it's going to be a constant thing throughout like my thought process of the ranking is like development path timeline matters so much to me. Like I find like players already playing pro, like Frondell and Eklund, I think are so high on my list because I know they're playing in the SHL next season.
Yeah.
Like college players I know are facing that level of competition that's going to be good. If you're talking about Denoye, like he's playing Q draft +1 and then potentially making the NHL, like that big leap, then it's like, what's your impact going to be? And then suddenly you have to like grade on a curve instead of a gradual rise of development. So like my thought process with Denoye is like, I have him lower just because I haven't seen a lot of things that I love, but then it's also thinking about how he gets to the NHL and how like early he can actually make an impact.
Yeah, to me, I look at someone like Braden Coots, who I won't spoil where he is, but he's further down the list. But I don't necessarily see a ton of difference between the two of them. Obviously, Denoye put up more numbers, but you watch some of those Moncton games, and he doesn't even look like the play driver on his own line. It looks like Pekarik is doing a lot of the heavy lifting when they play together sometimes. And I saw a pretty good amount of Denoye earlier in the season, later in the season, and he's good, but I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm the same way. I think that when you're in a league like the Q, you want to, for me, like I need to see like almost domination in a way, not just with the overall numbers you end up putting up, but I think on a shift by shift basis, more times than not, you kind of have to be the play driver. And if you're not the play driver, I think you need to be somebody with a boatload of like high end skill, almost like a Justin Carbonneau. Where I think
exactly the name I was thinking.
Where I think that like he's probably going to college next year, and the rest of his game could get refined, and then you might have like a real thing there. So the Q is a big concern for me. Him being in the Q next year is an even bigger concern, and then everything else about his kind of how he relies on his teammates to get kind of into the offensive zone, and then he kind of cooks. That's okay. It's just I don't know if I see a high end center from that.
Yeah. So we're safe to say he's not going to be 7.
Yeah.
Is there anyone in the Hagens, Martone, Frondell, Eklund tier? Because I put them all in the same tier. First off, that's okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
That.
Yeah, sure.
Is there anyone else that should be in that tier? I have someone else that's like at the lower end of that tier in my.
It's at Hagens. What was the tier you said?
Hagens, Martone, Frondell, Eklund.
Frondell, Eklund.
That's the second tier right now.
I got one that you won't like, but
is it Aitchison?
No,
that's crazy. Sorry,
Aitchison just below that. No,
Smith?
it's Big Raj, buddy, and you're not gonna like me. It's Roger.
I mean,
it's Roger McQueen. Okay. I don't think it's that bad. I think everybody freaked out, and then everyone just started. Sorry, hit my markers. Everyone just started freaking each other out. I think he's fine, and he's got such the perfect like build to be an NHLer now, and he's so skilled, and his the way that he can stick handle in his feet as such a huge guy is just it's a crazy level of ability and skill, and it's a risk. But if we're talking about skill and ranking, I mean, shit, man, you look at him versus somebody in this range like Brady Martin coming up. It's not like the potential. It's not even a discussion.
Yeah, I think I was listening to the Fly podcast on Roger McQueen, and Charlie kind of compared him to like a more skilled JVR, and I haven't been able to like shake that since. Like I agree that JVR was a real good player, and I don't think Roger McQueen is necessarily like just JVR, but I think there's a lot of similarities in like big guy hands around the net in the way that JVR was, and that is probably the 7th or 8th best player in this draft. So I kind of agree with Jacob in the sense that if we take the injury out of it, but which people might have overblown, we still don't really have like a good like real verdict on that. But he probably is like the 7th or 8th best player in this draft. Yeah.
And I just like the JVR thing. I think he's got a better skating stride and a better ability than JVR. JVR couldn't move after he was 28.
Yeah.
Like he was, I thought even JVR in the Leafs was not a very good hockey player. It's just he just parked himself in front of the net, and I hated watching him for the back half of his career. But that's besides the point.
Yeah.
I mean, my McQueen hate was like at the beginning of the season where I was like, oh, I hate people that are like, it was an overcorrection on like the general consensus of like him being so highly rated. And I was like, I don't see a whole lot. But then the more I got into the depths of this draft, I'm like, okay, yeah. And then I revisited McQueen and it's like, okay, like he's clearly like when he's playing, he's a skill. I think he's a step above a lot of the players. So I'm at the top of my third tier, but I think I took a little bit of the injury concern in that. So I'd be comfortable with him in this tier, but like at the bottom of it, like 7 or 8.
I still think he's probably like, if you're taking the holistic view, like he's probably still top of the third tier.
Okay, yeah.
I wouldn't be angry at that.
Okay.
It's
So-
just I also didn't have Eklund. I had Eklund in the same tier as McQueen, basically. So, but I'm okay with flipping that and having McQueen
So
kind of
yeah.
be the top of the next crop of guys.
Okay, cool. So yeah, so we're all good with like saving McQueen for the next crop. And is there anyone else that's in the second tier?
I don't think so.
Cool. No, I have Carter Bear here, but
Yeah,
I
that's fun.
fucking love him so
That's
much.
fun. No, I like him
fucking
a lot.
love him. That's like a person like what I want in a hockey player to be, and that's like him. Like he like tries his fucking ass off every shift, and he's like skilled at the same time. Like it's just like the general approach to the game. I fall in love with, but I could see why I could see why it's spicy. So I'm not gonna like. It's just a personal bias.
Another injury concern too. There,
Yeah, but
now.
like if you
He's
if you,
fine,
like,
he's
slice
fine,
your
I'm just saying.
Achilles, he's fine. Yeah.
Wow,
Okay.
you know,
If you slice your Achilles, you're fine.
you kind of have to push a lot with your ankles sometimes. But yeah,
Whatever. Okay, so that's the second tier, and then so we're starting with Roger McQueen at 7 in this next tier. Okay,
yeah, I like that.
No complaints.
I think that's the right spot for him. I value him more than most people do. I think probably.
I mean, I get it. Like I get him actualized and like without the injury. I'm really excited for what I can see next season.
And that's
like,
yeah, that's the thing too. It's like I understand why you wouldn't be bullish on him, so I'm not going to argue that heavily because it is a specific situation, right?
yeah, exactly. Okay, so for this next third tier, so starting with McQueen, now at 8, is there anyone else that I just fully realized I just gave up on our the plan of the circle? Cole, do you want to bring up anyone? Do you want to elect anyone?
I think it's Jake O'Brien. I think it's the right spot for Jake O'Brien. I think there's a lot of concerns about pace and whether he's going to adjust to NHL pace, but I think the skill's there. I think there's more skill there than most players in this draft class, and especially those below him. So I think Jake O'Brien has flaws, but he should be right here at that tier, especially if McQueen is right there. Yeah.
Do we all agree with O'Brien at 8? That's where I put him. Like,
yeah, I think that's pretty fair. That's a reasonable ranking. I think I had him at 9. So that's pretty much around the same spot. I think again we're getting into that sort of like, do you want to take a chance on like O'Brien's playmaking translating and him figuring out the rest of his game, or do you want to take Brady Martin, who's just gonna like run headlong into the boards every shift for 15 years for you? And it's like, we'll see.
I mean, yeah, I have a spicier take later on, so
I'm looking forward to it.
I think I already mentioned in the chat, so it's fine.
I don't know.
Okay, Jacob at
Yes.
number 9. Who would you like? Is there anyone you would like to elect that we have at number 9? What's next?
Part of me, he's not actually 9 on my board, but part of me wants to say Jackson Smith.
Okay.
I can see if you I like how you can see if you refine that game, you can really turn into like a really solid either number 2 or number 3. When we did me and Thomas did the watch along of some of his shifts, he is sloppy, but at the same time you can see like the natural skating stride is there. Part of me has Martin here as well at the back half of the top 10. So I think I'm kind of split between those two. Carter Bear, I think, would have been there, except save for the injury. this is where it gets to a hodgepodge because
Yeah.
it gets me on the right day. I
Especially-
would say Aitchison goes there too.
That's crazy. But yeah, again, like this is I wrote down my ranking last night of just like my gut feeling of like watching these players and thinking about them all season long. And I'm totally like probably on draft day I have like a different person going a higher above, but this is what we're feeling now. So would we all say kind of like Jackson Smith would be an interesting one, especially as a second defenseman? Is there like anyone else that people have above Jackson Smith that really would want to stake a claim? Like I would say Carter Bear above Smith for me, but I'm not like going crazy. I'm not banging the table to above him, but anyone else?
I would also think about Carter Bear, but I think that's the only guy who goes there. Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised I didn't get more pushback on that.
I mean, like I could understand it. Like we saw we talked about it for like 45 minutes or whatever in the watch along where it's like all the tools are there, but it's just he just needs to like turn his brain on sometimes.
This
Like
is
that one,
around. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead, Thomas. That's done.
I was just gonna say that one play at the blue line where it just went through the puck went through his legs.
Yeah.
It was, like
Yeah.
insane to watch.
No, there was the one where he misplayed the 2-on-1 too, and this
Yeah.
is all in one game. It was like 4 different things in one
It was
game, and
insane.
he had 4 assists in that game as well, if I remember correctly.
The duality of Jackson Smith.
Yeah, like that is what it is, right? But we also said that like if you watch a Carter Yakimchuk game from last year, he looks like garbage half the time, and he went. What did he go? Top
I think
10?
7, 8,
Yeah, 7,
9?
8, around the same spot.
Yeah.
Obviously a lot bigger, but that's a better draft class, I would say, when you get to this point of the proceedings. But yeah, I mean, like, I think in my mock as well, like just thinking about it logically, this is a really likely spot for him too, just because of like I think teams want to value defensemen, like they want to have a reason to take a defenseman. I think Smith has. Well, it depends more so. Do you want a glut of these middle 6 forwards that are coming up, or do you want a guy who could possibly be a top 4 defenseman, maybe even a top pair guy in the vein of someone like Sanheim or Thomas Hartley, who was the other guy that I think EP had as their comparison, which both are. That's what he looks like. It's just more refinement, development.
Yeah. I mean, I think Smith should be the earlier defenseman off the board, the second one, but I don't think he's gonna be. I mean, I think Merca is gonna be just because of the raw tools. Kind of, I think he's been really inflated in the last like 2 months or so. People have been really buying into Radim Merca, and I'm worried there for like bust potential because of just I don't know if he moves the puck quick enough. I don't love the way he kind of sees the game, so. There's that. But if considering that, the reason why I didn't push back is because I think Smith is definitely ahead of the Henslers, the Mercas, and every other defenseman in that tier. So, yeah.
Yeah. Like I could fight on another forward, but I think Smith is a very good option, especially in the top 10 still, but you're not like, it's not crazy high. Okay. At 10, I think I'll just have to say Carter Bear here just because he's been longer gone and I just liked him so much to just compete and I like him. You could sway me with a Brady Martin here because he does a lot of the same things, but I think it's just that add of skill and potential of size and just general, like if Brady Martin's a wing, I'd rather have Bear on the wing. It's basically Martin at center is like, sure, if he sticks down the middle, but and I think he might ultimately it's stronger than people have like talked about. I think Martin will stick down the middle, but yeah, I think I'll just have to say Bear here because I think higher of him than any other forward or defenseman that's left, honestly.
Yeah, does anyone, because I think you kind of just nailed it, like with the evaluation of Bear brings more goal scoring talent, like raw point producing talent, but Martin is obviously the centerman and can probably stick at center, like maybe in the NHL. But if you put them both on wing, yeah, Bear's got it. So does anyone have any objections to like the back-to-back being Bear and Martin? Just kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I feel like I have them in a pretty similar mind frame. So
no. Just to clarify, did we rank Desnoyers or did we just move past?
Nope.
Him? Oh,
nope, not yet.
Okay,
not yet.
Okay, well, Desnoyers is going to have to go before Martin then.
Yeah, I agree.
No, that's my spicy take. I'd rather take Martin. a billion
Interesting.
times in the world. Like he just plays a higher pace. I just like him so.
He
I said this
does.
in the chat. I just like him so much more. He plays the style of game that I want. Like that's what I want in a middle six center. And if they're both middle six centers, I'd rather have like Bennett than a late season Couturier. Like I'd rather have him crash bang, cause chaos than like a laid back, slow the game down, play at 60 points or whatever. If they're both going to be the same result of a position in a lineup, I'd rather have Martin. That's the thing. Like Denoye has like the ceiling of like I don't think Martin gets to a 1C. Denoye could be a complimentary 1C. Like if he's drafted by the Flyers, I think he's Mitchkov center. Like that's just a smart center, and then he's ultimately just a 1C because he's played with Mitchkov. But like, so you can do that. But I think I'd just like pure, no context, no environment, no nothing. I think I'd just rather have Martin.
Wow. I don't know about that.
I mean, I'll get outvoted. It's fine.
I don't. So we have what?
So we have Carter Bear. Are we doing
Brett.
Bear, Denoye, Martin? Is that the order?
I'd
rather take I'm fine with that.
I don't know if I have that 3 is tough. Like I think they all have very similar like projectable like
Roles
NHL futures as in regards to like their spots in the lineup. Like I think they'll all play in the same spots. I think leaving Denoye outside the top 12 is tough as the center.
He'd be Denoye be 11. Bear at 10, Denoye 11, Martin 12.
Bear at 10, Denoye. I guess I can't argue with it. I don't know
if you want to do Denoye,
I don't know if I like
Bear,
Carter
Martin,
that much to override the
Bear,
personal
Martin.
Is that what we're saying? Versatility of it. Yeah,
it's hard.
I'll probably go Denoye, Bear, Martin.
Yeah,
I'm more comfortable with that, I think.
Yeah,
Okay.
me as well.
Okay. Someone else talk. I'm going to mute and typing.
Oh goodness. Okay. Well, that I forgot about Caleb Denoye for a second there. I can't lie. I won't lie. I'll level with everybody there. I kind of did forget about him. But we move on. Guess we can start discussing somebody we mentioned before. Kashan Aitchison as and Ratty Murtka is the next defenseman. Does anyone have them sort of getting picked or as more valuable of the outside of the top 10?
Sorry, I'm talking about the tiers now. Do we agree that this is still the third tier? So right now the third tier is McQueen, O'Brien, Smith, Denoye, Bear, and Martin. I think it's.
I don't know. I kind of like the cutoff at after Denoye.
Okay.
But
yeah, I like that too.
Okay, we'll say that. Okay. So there's one forward, also another forward I'd put before another defenseman here.
Okay.
And that's Lyndon Lakovich.
Ooh.
I don't know if we feel stronger than him over Aitchison or Murtka here.
I had a different forward, but I prefer Carbonneau. I think I just what I talked about earlier. I mean, when I originally started watching him, I thought this guy had no idea where the puck was going or like how the play was moving in front of him. However, I do think the raw skill is like extremely, extremely high. The shot's really good. The passing vision's really good. He's a high volume passer, but I think that's going to get refined a little bit when he goes to college, if he goes to college. So I think it'd be a pretty good swingier pick in the top with like the 13th or 14th overall, whoever's in that range. So I don't know.
Yeah, I could see it. I have him later, but just not super later.
Yeah, I have him probably more closer to 15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we could do. Yeah, this is where it gets messy. So messy.
The players kind of blend together at this point,
right?
Yeah.
So let's say the tier. So if we're saying Bear and Martin, is there anyone even close? Like I would say Lakovich in that tier, but below them. Are we saying Carbonneau in that tier, or is that a separate tier?
I guess that would be. I think it's below them as well.
In the
Yeah,
same
I
tier?
think it's below. I think it's below them too. I think Bear and Martin are very similar, like play styles. Who kind of, if they both played wing, they'd be really comparable.
Yeah.
And then the next, I think Lakovic and Carbonell go together very well too, because I think they're a bit more risky. Lakovic, obviously, that big, huge guy, got some skill, got some speed, but not fully there. And as Cole said, Carbonell sometimes not the most astute mind out on the ice there. Kind of gets lost, but he's still got that high end skill. So I think they're both sort of similar swings at that point. I think this is where you start discussing a guy like Aitchison as well. I think he'd be probably below these two.
Yeah.
I
I've
would
just got,
comfortably put them both below.
I've just at like 29. So,
Oh, okay. Wow.
but like I'm
Class.
fine. Like we don't have to do like an average point system of a ranking or whatever, like we do for top 25.
Yeah.
Like we don't have, like I could be swayed. Like
We're
someone
talking through it.
sway me on Aitchison. Okay, for let's before that. Sorry. Is he the next defenseman that we should be drafting? That we should be ranking?
I think so. I think he's better than Murtka.
I
think
would
he's better
agree.
than Murtka.
Okay,
Unless you like Fiddler. I could see a world where you like Fiddler a lot more than
I have Cam Reed as my next guy.
Cam Reed. I could see that too, yeah.
Cameron would be
just-
the closest one. Yeah.
I'd have him a bit below Aitchison. I'd have him
So-
closer to him and Fiddler. I think.
Okay.
I'd have them up together.
So let's say a general consensus is Aitchison is the next guy. Are there any forwards that we could think that should be above Aitchison? So we have Bear and Martin. Are we putting Aitchison in that tier first off?
No, I think he's
No.
going to go below the.
So we're just having a tier of Bear and Martin by themselves,
yeah. I
Yeah.
think
kind of as this next guy. Okay, and then
Carbonell, Lakovic, whatever
Yeah.
order you want, and then I
Do we-
think this is where
that's Aitchison. So we could
Maybe.
do.
I don't know. I like some Cole Reshney too, but
Yeah.
I like
but-
Reshney too. Reshney
Yeah.
Reshney dreamt a lot more when he was getting mocked in like January. He was like in the 20s, but he's so good, and he's just unfortunately he's just a little small for a center. So that's what people are showing on him. But his motor's great. He's really skilled. He's up and down. He's all over the place. I really like Cole Reshney. I think it's just maybe in the next tier after this. I think is where Reshney is for me.
Okay, so we're at 13 now.
Yeah.
So the forwards we're thinking about are Lakovic and Carbonell, and the defenseman is like Aitchison
And Reed.
and Reed.
I
So if we're
think
saying, are we saying those players are in a tier of themselves? Like I'm comfortable with that, and then maybe adding some more, but I think they're kind of in the mix a little bit for me.
that's fair. I don't think that's crazy. I can see how people would have Aitchison and Reed in the same sort of category.
It's like polar. It's like opposites of like play style, but I can see the same
Yeah.
like general impact
Yeah.
people projecting. Okay, so now out of that 4, I would say the order for me is Lakovic, Reed, Carbonell, Aitchison. But if someone else wants to, like, are we saying Lakovic first off? Like, who's the next guy for everyone?
I would switch Carbonell and Lakovic, but
Okay,
that's it.
I think I'm fine either way.
yeah,
I don't know if I have a
mostly-
tough opinion about this. It's again, they're very polar
So,
opposite too,
yeah.
really. Like it's kind of
Yeah,
hard to
yeah.
compare.
Maddie,
It's kind of up to what your favorite playstyle is.
I don't know, man.
it's so hard. Okay, so let's say, yeah,
Somebody flip a coin.
no, honestly, okay, virtual coin flipper.
I'm going Lakovic just because he's bigger to break the tie.
Okay,
right.
so we're saying
And I don't know if the skill will translate to the same degree, and then if it doesn't, then
and the general cueness of.
yeah, the Q stinks, man. It really sucks. I
So we're
watch the
saying-
Q a lot. It stinks.
Are we saying Lakovic?
Yeah,
saying
Lakovic.
Reed? Or Carbonell?
Reed.
Reed? Cameron
Yeah.
Reed?
Yeah, okay,
Alright.
I'm good with that.
Cameron Reed above Aitchison as the next
Sure.
defenseman? Okay.
Yes.
Sure. I guess.
And then Justin Carbonell at 15.
Aitchison's here though. I'm not.
And then I know, and then HSN's at 16.
This is it. Okay.
Chill out.
I'm relaxed.
Not too far off from 20.
Oh, actually, you know what? This is actually working out perfectly. I think this is actually going to work out perfectly because I want to bring this up now. I think Coots and Reshny in the same tier. Yeah. That sounds really good to me. I think they're both like really high motor, 200-foot games, guys that I would really like to have on my team, but don't necessarily have the 1C potential. I think those guys are perfect together in like the 16, 17 range.
Would we have Murtka in that same tier, or is he still below?
I think just off of like the size of him. He was low for me. I didn't like him that much. Like skill wise, I think there's a real chance that he's just like Brandon Manning, like just a dude. Yeah. Like he's just a big dude who's around. And he'll probably have a long career. You can have a long career being a big dude that's around, but I don't think he has much more than that right now. And obviously, if he gets to a good system and you mold him into a defenseman, and that middle pairing guy, like that's really good, especially that size. But I did have him lower anyways, so I think he'll probably have to go now just off of like the sheer rawness of him. But
yeah, I agree. I mean, out of any of the guys in the top 10, I projected top 10, I thought that was the one that was. Murka scares me the most, honestly, because I think that there's like he could be a boat, as we said, but he also might not be a boat. So there could just be a real not NHL potential there / bottom pair replacement level who's big. So
I have the Sabres taking him and doing the Risto thing all over again with him.
Oh my god, they would.
Yeah, it's
booked. It's locked in. That's the one pick. If anyone wants to bet, if anyone wants to try and like Murtka 9 to the Sabres, then they trade Bo and Byram for like a second or something, and it's like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Okay, I updated the chat with our ranking. Okay, so
wow, that's a lot of numbers.
I know. Sorry, I realize it's separate messages, or else it just kind of messes up. Okay, so are we saying even Murka's in this tier at all, or are we saying like? So we're saying Reshny and Coots. I have Potter here as well as forwards, and then like Cameron Schmidt, maybe slightly below them. It's like the boomer bust kind of thing. If you really want to bet on it, like I think he has one of the best shots, and he skates well. So it's like if he can skate and shoot well enough, then he'll make it. So yeah. So I who do we? So is there anyone else in this Lakovich, Reed, Carbonneau, Aitchison tier? First off.
I think that's probably good to close it off there. No,
yeah,
I feel good with that.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, so now are we doing like a Coots?
I personally have it going Reshny,
okay,
and then Coots, and then probably Murtka, I suppose.
Yeah. I
think he's still got the raw potential there.
Yeah, I think that's my order too. And at the very end of that tier, I'd put Hensler.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
I think like I feel much safer. I feel much safer with a Hensler pick than I even do with a Mirka pick. But I think the raw tools of Mirka are better. So
I almost even prefer Fiddler. You know, like those type of guys. I don't like in reality. Murtka I do like more still, but it's close. It's closer than I thought.
Yeah, no, it is close. Yeah, I have Hensler above Murka, but they're like right next to each other in my ranking. Like it's that whole thing of like, do I want to play it safe or do I want the tools or whatever? Okay, so let's say 17 is Reshny.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, God, now I need to type with one hand. Cole. Okay, 18 is
Braden Coots.
Coots. I want to put Potter here, maybe.
I don't mind putting Potter here.
I don't want to bring up Potter because
he slipped my mind a little bit, but yeah, I don't mind that.
Yeah, like I think Colin Potter's just more dynamic than Coots. Like Coots is like the safe of like he's gonna be a center, he's gonna be a middle six guy. Like at worst, he's their third line, could chip in, maybe might be like the third of three on that third line. That's like his worst case scenario.
Yeah.
But I think he's like ultimately just gonna like he's so projectable where he should be in the middle of the first round for me. So, but I think Potter is just like I'd rather take that risk. So I think I have him just slightly above.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. I think that works really well.
Yeah.
And Potter also playing NCAA helps too.
Yeah.
Decent little year.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say about Coots? Coots kind of reminds me of Fraser Minton in a way.
Can
Okay.
see
Yeah.
that.
Like a bigger Fraser Minton.
Yeah, it's the projectability
built,
of his play style too. Just kind of he'll
Yeah.
be what he is. At the next level.
Okay. So we have Reshny, Potter, Coots at 19. 20 is Merka and then Hensler.
You can maybe squeeze Potter in there if you wanted, but
I put Potter at 18.
okay, yeah, good. Yeah, that makes sense.
And then 21 is Logan Hensler.
Now we're moving.
I know.
Yeah,
I was still worried.
I was trying to get us going in the middle there because we can talk about that for like 8 hours.
Now I'm gonna
chief among me. I can talk about it for 8 hours.
I know. Dude,
So.
our watch logs together are like, it's so funny because we're just like rambling about like
We're not watching shit.
later. We're doing a Bill Zonin like for sure watch along because I just love him so much, and he'll be later on, and I could talk about him like for a very long time.
We're gonna do a Ben Kindle watch along where I just tell you how many times he points to his teammates when he scores a goal.
Yeah.
Just pointing. There you go, buddy.
What a nice guy. Okay, so we have Hensler at 21. Is there anyone else in this range, in this tier? Like you brought up Kindle. Like you could probably say like skill wise, he's up there with some of these players.
I think he's a bit after.
Okay.
I love him. I love him personally, but I'd say just objectively, he's probably the tier after at least.
I'm trying to think of some names. Zonin, Van Sagi, Eric Nielsen,
Fiddler,
around Fiddler.
Nestrasil is a guy people have liked in the chat, live streams, but I think he's later too.
Yeah, there's Malcolm Spence too, but I think he comes in a bit later.
I think Spence is just like projectable for me, but I don't know if that skill, like if any of the skill translates.
It's probably around some can be done with Spence and Zonin, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit.
Okay, so I'm changing tiers now. We're at 22. Is there anyone that comes to mind immediately that like you really want to fight for?
I like Fiddler. I like Fiddler.
Like Fiddler, okay.
I like Fiddler.
All right.
Schmidt, you brought up Schmidt. Schmidt could probably be around here-ish. I don't know.
Yeah.
Fiddler and Kindle. Maybe Kindle does go now.
I think I like Kindle more than Schmidt.
Yeah, I do too. He didn't score as many goals. Like Schmidt had more goals, but Kindle did have more points.
Yeah,
I like Kindle as a dual threat kind of playmaker and scorer. I like both of his aspects of his game. So
yeah, both of them have like. Sorry.
Do we like Boumediene in this tier? Or not quite?
I put him below Fiddler. Just in terms of how I just like him more. I like Fiddler a lot more. I think I feel safer that Fiddler is going to be like a second pairing guy than I do with Boumediene at all. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think it's probably like maybe like Kindle, Fiddler, something there. Maybe it could be a little early for Kindle. Some people would say it's a little early for Kindle, but I don't know. I would like him a lot.
I'm like trying to battle in my head of Schmidt and Kindle, but
it's tough.
I think he's slightly below, but I kind of like his floor. I like Gastrine a lot.
Yeah,
I think
we're gonna talk about the Swedes.
Yeah, we gotta talk about the Swedes. There's a few more coming too, but with Gastrine, I think there's a good. He's always in and around the play. I really like his offensive awareness, and also he's pretty good on the defensive end too, for the most part. He's not really the primary puck carrier, but he's been kind of given the responsibility on all of like Sweden's like national teams of being the top line guy. So I really like him. I think he plays a good hard game, and he's not afraid of anyone on the ice, and he's not the biggest guy either. But he's still fun to watch.
Yeah. Fuck. Okay. Should we say Kindle here then? Would everyone be comfortable? 22.
Yeah.
Kindle then. So that's after Fiddler.
No, Fiddler. I haven't put Fiddler.
Okay, so Kindle or Fiddler? What do you think?
I put Kindle.
I like Kindle. I love Kindle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Ben Kindle 22, and then
I
would-
would come into play too soon. I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
like
put
him too.
Blake Fiddler at 23.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
And then 24, I think Cameron Schmidt has to go before. I think at this point of the draft, I think no one skill-wise can really match him. Like, he has a better shot than anyone left. Skating-wise, pretty close. Like, Boumedien's a great skater, but, like,
Defenseman also.
defenseman.
It's a little different.
Yeah. So, like, I think probably have to start talking Schmidt. Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
Okay. Especially as a ranking. Like, I'm sure he'll go way later than, like, 24. Okay, 25. So we have Gasterine, we have Boumedien, we have
I
I
think
guess
you could put
Donan probably comes into play.
is on it. I have Van Sagi here, Eric
Mhm.
Nielsen.
you could put like East Wozniak in there too.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
Swedish guys. Yeah.
yeah. I'd be comfortable with, like, I find in this draft, not to like broad stroke it again like I always do, but I find in this draft I'm always thinking about, like, okay, projectability versus like high upside. And whenever I come down to two players and filter it down, it's basically choosing between one of them. Like, Fiddler and Boumediene. Like, Boumediene is such a good skater that I could see him reach a higher ceiling, but it's like Fiddler's like a guarantee, like, he's gonna play some NHL minutes. And it's the same kind of thing with like a lot of the Swedish guys, like Gasterine, Hillstrom, I think are just like super solid guys. But then you think of like an Eric Nielsen, like, I think he has like a higher ceiling than anyone else in that Swedish tier, and an East Wozniak as well, as like the skill. They're guys that don't play a super smart game. They sometimes mess it up, but like, I think at times, like, they could definitely just put it together. I think here I don't have any defensemen above an Eric Nielsen here for me. That's one guy that I would like to bring up. But
Are you talking about for which? For 20?
so this is 25.
25? Yeah, do you
So
have above Gasterine?
We don't have Gasterine here yet. We don't have a Boumediene. We don't have a Zonin. We don't have Van Sagi.
Yeah, I think Zon and Van Sagi, I'm okay with being after this. It's kind of up to if you like Gasterine more. I probably have Gasterine here, but do you like Gasterine or Nielsen more? You two, Cole and Thomas. I think the Swedish correspondents this year. I was a Swedish correspondent for Leo Carlson's year. I was a big Leo Carlson guy, so I've stepped back from my role.
I like Gasterine more. It's the same thing with like
I think I do
projectability versus upside. I think that Gasterine has a better chance of reaching that middle six center than Nielsen does at being a high end guy. And for me at this point in the draft, like I kind of like Gasterine more. Yeah. Like that kind of bet more.
Maddie?
It's close for me. Leaning Gasterine though, I think.
Okay. So I'm fine with putting Gasterine at 25. And then 26, are we saying Eric Nielsen, or are we saying again Boumediene, Zonin, Van Sagi? I think those are the guys that we'll probably talk about next.
I almost like Nielsen. To me is a bit of a wild card.
Yeah, he really is. Like, I think he has such like a longer development path.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I brought it up in our chat. I was like, I could see Sebastian Aho here. Like, if he puts it all together, I think that's his ceiling of like a very solid top six center that's like scoring 80 points. But it'll take a very long time and basically 30 pounds of muscle to get him there. But
I don't know. You guys might have to rank the Swedes for me because I have my Bill Zahn and Van Sagi takes locked and loaded, and I love the Swedes.
I love them too.
No,
Like,
I'm just saying. Like, I think they could probably go ahead of those two, but I'm not sure in what order.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I like all the forwards that we're talking about.
yeah.
Plus East Wozniak more. I like all the Swedish forwards, I think, more than I like Boumediene. So I would kind of put Boumediene at the back end of like our ranking here. So I put him at like 31, 32.
He also could be Boumediene could also be a case of like ranking a guy. There's just without him, there's really not a lot of defensemen in this sort of range. Once you get past him, once you get past like the Mertka, Smith, Aitchison, Reed, Fiddler, like sort of like probably between 10 and 20, I would assume. Maybe Fiddler's a bit later, maybe Reed's a bit later, but then after that, it gets really, really shallow. The defense pool gets really shallow. So I could see him just kind of being there. I don't think he's necessarily better, like at the NHL level, than Zonin, probably any of the Swedes, and Vansagi, maybe, and maybe Nestra Seal, maybe. But again, USHL's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're at 26. Like who what's one name you really want? Just like I know it's so mushy.
Let's go Bill. Put Bill there.
Yeah, I think
Bill
so.
there. I like Bill.
And then are we saying I want to put Eric Nielsen here and then Vansagi? I'm feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, I like Vansagi a lot, actually. I don't know if he'll end up going later.
I heard like it's such an Ottawa Senators pick at 21. Like that is like an Ottawa Senator to the T of like what exactly they want. It kind of just makes sense. So okay, so we have in this same tier, in this oh god, what number is this tier? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The seventh tier. I feel like we're the most ranking of like most tiers. We have Kindle at 22, Fiddler at 23, Schmidt at 24, Gastrine at 25, Zonin at 26, and Eric Nielsen at 27.
I think that's good too.
Are we cutting it off, or are we adding?
Put Nesbitt in there if you wanted. How do you feel about Nesbitt?
I did a watch along of his because I haven't watched him just because I've been prioritizing the Swedes and shit. I didn't fall in love with him at all. Like he made a couple great passes. His assist, like you'll watch it in the watch along. It's a short one. It's only half an hour. And yeah, he made some crisp passes but generally I think his pace of play is way like pretty slow, and I'd rather take a risk on European guys here. Vansagi, I think already played college. Like again, it's the same thing.
I feel the same way about Nesbitt that I do about like Will Horkoff, and I feel about Jack Murtaugh. I'm just like they're fine, but they're kind of boring. They're boring, and I think if you're looking for like a swing, those aren't the guys. But I think there's a decent likelihood that all three of them play NHL minutes. I just don't know how much you're going to get out of them.
Yeah. I think we're talking.
Yeah, go ahead, Thomas.
I was just gonna say if we're talking about like the physical bottom lineup, middle six guys that are like lower ceiling but high floor, I think Vansagi like is the cream of the crop for those guys that are left.
I think among the Swedish, I think Eddie Genborg.
Oh yeah,
Genborg is good, is fun too. But I think that's a little overzealous to put him in the first round here.
I mean,
yeah,
we're bloggers. We have to make spicy takes. So Eric Nielsen at 27. Yeah, it's. I really like Vansagi. I think.
I do too. I like a lot about his game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Maddie. Even though he's Michigan State, Vansagi.
I can live with it.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate the blessing.
Okay. Shane Vansagi at 28. Then still left on kind of where I kind of jotted down players are Aubameyang, Malcolm Spence. We haven't really talked about at this range. East Wozniak, Murtaugh, Gustav Hillstrom, Genborg, Kurban Limitov. Some people have him as first round. LJ Mooney. I just jotted down to bring him up because
William Moore,
Will Horkoff.
all of the U.S. under 18
McKinney
guys. Yeah, McKinney,
Mason West,
McKinney, Moore, and Murtaugh kind of all meshed together. Honestly, I'm
comfortable cutting off this tier.
Yeah.
Okay. Because now we're talking about players. I'm like, okay. So we're at 20. We have 29, 30. That's 4 picks. I can do math.
All right. Nice.
We have four picks left. If we want to talk about a player and like bring them up and be like, that's a first round talent, then this is the time. I'm just like framing in like I want this guy mentioned.
I think you have the Ravensburgen discussion.
Oh yeah.
Oh God.
I don't have him.
I mean, we can just cut it off there and be like, oh.
I don't have him in the first round, but
no.
Anyone? Cole?
if you want.
No, I like Andrianov more, but that's again, it's also an early second round thing. I think.
I think all the goalies should go in the second round. I think
I-
Ivan Kovic, Ravensburgen, Andriov.
The two Russians.
Yeah. The next Makarov. Oh, no, sorry, Medvedev. Sorry.
Medvedev, yeah.
The next Medvedev is what I meant.
Yeah.
Shout out to Evgeny, wherever you're
Yeah.
at. So, yeah, I think I'm fine with not putting the goal in the first round. It's weird anyways for ranking purposes. Like, yeah, it's kind of strange. But
like I got it in the Askarov Wallstedt year. What was that, 2021? Like that was the first round goalie talent. But other than that, like Wallstedt was playing in the SHL and like being for his age group like all-star like level shit.
Askarov was elite for years.
And Askarov was insane. Yeah.
He was
like,
sick from when he was 17 years old.
Even Sebastian Costa that year, like two, was like insane.
Yeah. Ravensburgen had 3 goals against in the dub. Like everybody's bad.
Yeah.
Like all the goalie stats are bad in the dub. Like
Yeah.
you ever look at Carson Bjarnason stats in the dub, it's always going to be bad because everyone's bad in the dub.
Yeah.
But
like, and that's why like Costa was a first round talent because he was like insane actually in the W. Like,
yeah, so that's the thing, right? He's a goalie. He's a second round guy, I think personally. So I think we just leave the goalies out of this one. Just goalies, no goalies,
no goalies. Okay.
I think
anyone want to bring up anyone at 29 that we're talking about? So are we talking about Genborg or?
I think East Wozniak for me is next, just because of the shot. I think there's a real chance there that he's just like top 6 or bust, and if he's top 6, then he's going to be a 30 plus goal scorer. I think. I really like the shot. I think he's probably has the second best Swedish shot outside of Frondell, which I guess is probably not saying much, but I think it's saying enough too, to the point where I think I really like the skill set there. I think there's a lot to improve on in terms of pace and carrying the puck, but if he's going to be a goal scoring wing, he doesn't necessarily need to do that very well. So I like him, and I like the ceiling there, and I would put him on a similar tier with Spence. So, yeah.
Again, I think like the same thing of like higher upside versus stability in Spence. I'm comfortable putting East Wozniak here. He reminds me a lot of like the same issues I had with Dominic Bach like years ago of just like I'm calling names out of just like like reliability and whatever. I'm typing.
Versatility.
Yeah,
thanks.
He kind of he kind of does one thing, and
yeah. Well, if he does it well enough, good. Rabkin, no, not Rabkin.
Fuck no.
Not after what happened at the combine.
No,
so,
or before it.
But
honestly, I'll be honest. Nah, I'm good.
So with 3 picks, we've been mentioning Boumediene enough where I think he probably is a first round guy for most of us.
Yeah.
The skill set, yeah.
So then it's like Spence, Hillstrom, Genborg, Murtaugh,
and all the US guys. I
US
think are all kind of together.
guys.
McKinney, Murtaugh, and Horkov.
What about like Riker Lee?
Riker Lee,
yeah.
It's just he's a USHL guy, and I'm not a big fan of that.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough for me with USHL guys who are scorers.
Yeah.
Just because the league stinks, and I've seen it firsthand, and it's really not good. But he is the most dynamic of the USHL guys, I think, like top end wise. So I wouldn't be mad, but he just screams early second round to me. Like maybe just outside of this.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be mad if he snuck in at 32 though either, because we're obviously leaving the goalie off. We're leaving the Ravensburgen off, which is usually a guy who goes in the first round in a lot of these. So I wouldn't be mad at that either.
Thomas, when you did the watch along of Prokhorov, did you think he was like a first round guy or no?
No. I think Prokhorov is like the classic, like he's big. I could see he has a shot, but he's like, I think I wrote in the draft board that piece, rebroadshothockey.com. It's like he basically is, if you're playing a video game and you're playing like an Overwatch or whatever, he's like at the tank where he could do one thing and just like go straight to the net. And it's like, that's all he does. Like he doesn't like participate in play. He doesn't like do anything. You can't rely on him to like stitch a pass together or whatever. It's like, okay, if you need a goal right now and you're desperate for it, then like put Prokhorov out there and he'll drive to the net, he'll bowl people over, and then he'll like you're hopefully getting the puck past the line. I don't think there's a lot of versatility. I don't think it's like there. It's like he's a very like specialty player, like a tunnel vision kind of player for me. Where that is like a perfect second round, I think like bet on just like sure we'll get this guy. He's massive. Maybe it'll work out. And his skating's not 100% there. But like if he pans out, it's great. So yeah, so I wouldn't put him in like the last 3 picks that we have.
All right.
So I'll just bring up Genborg. You guys seem to like Genborg. I don't know.
I think I like Hillstrom better than Genborg if we're talking about like middle 6-ish Swedish guys.
And then Bristevitz from the Knights.
I wouldn't put him in the first round.
Yeah.
We haven't even talked about.
He's an early second rounder too.
We haven't talked about Nesterstol in a little bit.
Yeah, they're another USHL guy. A bit more versatile than the other ones we talked about, though. I think a bit more kind of translatable, but yeah, I don't know. It gets tough at the end here. Again, it gets to be a lot of preference, a lot of what you need. If you're talking about like who's actually going to be drafted,
so,
but skill wise, even I think it's really close. Like I don't have any distinction between Cole McKinney and William Moore. I was looking at them both as like 32, 31 guys, and I'm like, I think we could really just toss one of the Murtaughs, the Nesbitts, or the Horkoffs at the end there because I think like they're very similar, and that's kind of what you're getting out of there.
Yeah. So we have. I just realized we haven't put Malcolm Spence in yet. Should we do that at 30? Like, is he? I think he's above.
I actually really like Malcolm Spence. I do.
I think he's above those US guys. For sure.
I think they're 100% above the USHL guys and the US national team guys. I actually do really like Malcolm Spence. I did the piece on him, I think. And again, he's another guy who, even in the OHL, he didn't put up very great scoring numbers, but you think he's just going to be exactly what he is now into the NHL. I think Zonin actually has a bit higher of a ceiling than him, just a slight amount. But Spence, I think, will play NHL minutes and be a guy. And he kind of reminds me of like you take Scott Lawton late in the first round. You're like, yeah, I mean, he's played a long time. He's played for good teams, some of them sometimes. He's going to be a guy. He's going to be on the wing, obviously, instead of Lawton, who played center for the majority of the start of his career and had a bit higher pedigree. But yeah, I like him here. I think it makes sense.
Yeah. So we have 2 picks left. Names I think that have kind of risen to the top for us are Hillstrom and Genborg, Boumedienne, and then like one of the US guys. Like I think Murtaugh is probably the best. I don't know, more is like
they're pretty boring and kind of safe.
I like Horkoff. I like he left the national team development program in like November. He had like an injury, but he also was just like his play was stagnating completely. And then he went to Michigan, and he kind of really turned it into more of a power forward type game. And I thought he got a half a point a game, which is pretty good for a kind of underage college freshman. I think he's really good at deflecting pucks. He's always in and around the net. It's a very, very, very power forward, maybe boring middle 6, bottom 6 center type pick. But I do think there's something there if he's in the right system. Yeah.
The more talking about stuff, I think Boumedienne's dropping for me in consideration. I don't think he should probably be one of these last 2 picks.
Yeah, I don't know. It's close for me because I see the vision with Boumedienne. Like I see it. I don't know if he's just another. Oh, I don't want to do this. Is he just another Emile Andre guy who's like, let me in the league, please, please. I'm trying so hard. Like I'm good. Trust me, I'm really good at hockey. I hope that's not the case, obviously, because I feel bad for Andre even currently. But I don't know. There wasn't a ton to watch at BU and get like super hyped about. It's just like you can kind of see in the future that there might be something there. Yeah. Again, with a lot of, I think him and the US guys are all like the 33, 34, 35. I think that's where those guys start really coming off the board.
Yeah. So I'm thinking a Hillstrom around it. Like I want him in as a first round guy, but also like I wouldn't be mad if like we talked about Boumediene and Horkoff being our last 2 picks. Like we've gone a stretch without 21 at Hensler was our last defenseman. Like are we really saying Boumediene is? Yeah, it's tough. I don't know. You could also say Riker Lee of just like the ceiling. I think Riker Lee probably has the best ceiling out of everyone that we're talking about, but it's also like
Yeah.
What else do you got? And you showed
Yeah.
it in the USHL. If it was in college, university, whatever, right? NCAA, it's different. USHL is pretty rough defensively. The Heelstrom one, that's definitely off the board, I think, from consensus. But I like it if you guys like the player, because like that's good to have at the end of the first round. I think it's cool to have like a little, just a random name, because all these guys are pretty much like skill wise. I don't know how much different you get from, like I pulled up the consolidated rankings on EP, just looking through all these guys here, like LJ Mooney to, you know, the other US NDTP guys, and they all kind of meld together for me. Luca Romano is going to be a second rounder. Like I like him a lot as a second rounder. I've always liked him.
Next tier, yeah.
Yeah, but that's the tier after the guys that we're finishing up. So who do you think of I think this is a good way to phrase it actually with you two specifically, is who do you think like is the guy that slips out of the first round and some team gets like number 35 that you're like, oh, that's a great pick? Like, is it Heelstrom or Genborg or?
Among the Swedish guys, I think it's Heelstrom.
Yeah.
And then
I think he's a center. Heelstrom's a winger, or Genborg's a winger.
For me, another name I just thought of because I'm trying to do the small guys who are going to fall down article. I think Adam Banach too. I mean, I like the skill set. He's small. He's like 5'7" or something like that. He really might not make it, but
yeah, it's tough.
However, and he played in the USHL, but he scored a ton.
That's like 2 big strikes.
2 big things. However, I really like the guy, and I think there's a chance that it's a real good swing pick, and that's why he's probably going to fall into, honestly, the 40s, 50s, if not later, because he's so small, and in the USHL. So, yeah.
All right. So, what are you guys thinking? Heelstrom? You guys are talking about Heelstrom so much. I'll give you Heelstrom.
I think Heelstrom's the right pick.
And then Boumediene slips out into round 2. I think that's fine.
And then we're talking Horkoff.
Wait, Heelstrom is 31. Or do we want
Heelstrom's at 31.
Well,
I think
we should just put Lee there because he has a higher skill set than anybody else. And then Horkoff can go with the rest of the US guys in the beginning of round 2.
Yeah.
Should we do like honorable mentions and then just list everyone that we?
Yeah, we'll just list the entire second round.
Yeah, let's list Luca Romano, Nestrasil, Charlie Trethaway.
We just like copy
Ethan
paste
Cotta.
scouting.
Yeah, we'll put everybody but Ryabkin. Yeah.
Yeah. And no goalies.
Yeah,
I think I like this list.
I'll have to see it. I'll have to see it in print. I'll have to print it out and look at it on my
Okay, well, I'm going to share it right now.
Hopefully it'll be good.
Share screen. Okay. So, people watching on YouTube, I'm sorry if you're listening to the podcast version of this, but so this is our full list. So we have first top tier, our BSH consensus top 32 2025 draft. Matthew Schaefer, Michael Misa. Schaefer at 1, Misa at 2. Second tier goes Hagens at 3, Porter Martone at 4. 5 is Anton Frondell. 6 is Victor Eklund. And then our next tier, Roger McQueen at 7, Jake O'Brien at 8, Jackson Smith at 9, Caleb Donaye at 10. And then the 2 power guys in their own little tier.
Big dogs.
Dogs.
Big body dogs. Martin's not even that big, actually.
Carter Bear. No, I know. That's yeah. And then
that's kind of the problem.
Bear,
if he was definitely top 10, right?
If he was like 3 inches taller.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Glad we agree.
We're always thinking about 3 inches.
Whoa.
Bear, Brady Martin at 12. And then next here, Lyndon Lakovich, 13. Cameron Reed at 14. Justin Carbonneau, 15. Keyshawn Aitchison at 16. And we're getting to the second half. Cole Rushing at 17. Cullen Potter at 18. Braden Coots at 19. 20 is Ratty Murka. 21 is Logan Hensler. And then we're getting into the penultimate tier that we have in the top 32 is Ben Kindle at 22. 23 is Blake Fiddler. 24 is Cameron Schmidt. 25 is Milton Gastrine. 26 is Bill Zanon. 27 is Eric Nielsen. 28 is Shane Van Sagi out of Michigan State. 29, Jacob Izwazniak, or Jakob Izwazniak. 30, Malcolm Spence. 31, Gustav Hillstrom. And 32, Riker Lee. Yeah, I think I'd like that. Yeah. I think, again, like you could talk, if you're listening to the last 20 minutes where we debate who goes 31 or 32, you could hear our thoughts of like, we want to include, I think, other guys that are similar, and those US guys I think are right around the range. Like they're perfect first pick on the day 2 guy kind of guys.
Yeah.
Like we didn't talk too much about McKinney, but I think he's there as well.
Yeah. I just have no discerning. Like I have no way to separate them. Like Murtaugh, 56, 53 points. McKinney, 60, 61 points. You know, William Moore, 59 and 64. Horkov, well, he obviously, as Cole said, he had a shortened season. But again, it's all very similar, like point totals and play styles, and they all played together for the most part. So it's difficult. But I think all those guys are still good picks, like easy early day 2 guys. I wouldn't be surprised if you get a run of like 3 of them in a row. Come draft day. So
just taking whoever comes from the American blob.
Yeah.
Any departing thoughts of like, other than just we're all happy with this?
I think the Denoye one at 10 might be a little. There's a chance that he ages poorly, especially when the pick comes in and he's like 4th overall. But I don't disagree with it. I might have a problem with Eklund in the future because I don't know if I love his ceiling. But then you look at the guys behind him, you're like, I don't really like Jake O'Brien that much either.
Yeah.
It's basically McQueen for you, like Eklund over McQueen.
I think like the peak of McQueen is so much higher than the peak of Eklund, but Eklund's it's way safer. Yeah. It's way safer. You almost already see him in the league right now, right? So it's kind of tough. And like with guys like Carter Bear who come a bit further down, I don't think I can justify McQueen being much higher than he was. Anyways, right? Because I think there's a chance where those guys end up being pretty similar, especially if McQueen didn't play center, which I think he will, but if he doesn't. So, yeah, I think it turned out pretty well.
Cool.
Yeah, I think it turned out pretty well, too. I mean, the only thing I think I realized we ranked Mirko a little low. I do think that's a fairish ranking, but I do think we might have. He should be the 3rd guy, not the 4th guy, or the 5th guy. I forget if Hensler was above him or not.
Hensler was below him, just below him.
Hensler was just below him.
He was the 4th defenseman. We had Cameron Reed and Aitchison above him.
I think I would put Mirko above Aitchison looking back, but other than that, I think the list is pretty good, especially when we get to the back end. It's just a bunch of dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Well, that's the thing about this draft is like, who knows what anyone's going to happen after like 8, even 9, like or 7. It's just like you could get Reshny probably at like, I wouldn't be surprised if like Reshny's at 9, just because like Buffalo wants to take the same dudes that they've been taking for the last decade.
No, they're taking Radim Murtka, man. It's a layup. It's an absolute layup. I've never been more confident in anything ever.
I mean, I would be surprised if Murtka goes to like Boston, like or something like that high.
I think Brady Martin's going.
Again,
that's just thinking about it. I feel a lot better about my mock draft, like taking teams into account than I do my rankings. Because like the way I look at it, at a certain point, it just seems like, okay, this guy fits here, this guy fits here. Like even the Rangers and Aitchison, I kind of see it. You know, Keandre Miller's leaving, and then Aitchison comes in and you know, in a couple of years, hopefully fills the exact same sort of role, but at a cheaper price. And like I'm gonna do all this like the full mock soon. It's going to be done soon, but I feel a lot better about that than I do about this, to be fair, which is not great that we just did it. But
yeah, and to me, like McQueen feels like a duck. I feel like considering the state of their system, he feels like a duck. But I don't know. Like they could take on that risk in the top 8 or 9, wherever they pick. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're 10. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think I've seen that mock before too, and it's just like it just makes so much sense. Like they're the one team that's in the top 10 that like they've drafted so much that they could probably like them and the Sabres. I think just like really target what they need rather than go for just like most skilled. Anyways, Maddie, any departing thoughts?
My takeaway is I do not envy people who have to actually do this for real when it matters. This shit is so hard.
I know we're just like bullshitting. It's like if I had to publish this on like The Athletic or something, I'd be like, I'd be made fun of immediately.
I was already getting body blows in the chat of the Arsenal jersey. I don't even like Arsenal that much, man. What the hell is this?
No, he was supporting you, I think.
No, I don't think he was. I think he was upset. I think he was talking about.
Oh yeah, he was.
The Havertz.
I mean, the one guy,
Havertz thing isn't even that bad.
The guy John White come in. It was like less introductory chatter. I wanted to hear about the players. We're talking about the players.
No, that's true. No, that's true. I have too much introductory chatter. That is. I think that's something I do too much.
Guys.
Yeah. I have a lot of soccer jerseys.
Yeah,
I have a Charles Oakley Raptors jersey in the back. You think I'm really a big Arsenal guy?
I thought that was a preemptive.
It is now. Now it's an omen. It's happening. It's happening. I don't know how or if it makes sense, but it's happening. Yeah. Anyways, regardless.
I think Ducky wins the real draft. It's June 27th is the first round. June 28th, Saturday is the 2nd and to 7th. Anyways, thanks everyone for watching and listening through our endless discussions about these players. If you go to broadsheethockey.com right now, I'm sure if you're listening to right now, you could open up another tab and still have this playing. You should look at it, and then we have, I don't forget what we're at now, 40 draft profiles of guys on our community draft board. So where our readers pick the order, 39 was just, and it was Brustevich. So we have we have 39 draft boards already out, and we're going to be continuing doing it up to draft day, just going down the line. I think we're doing an excellent job of answering a lot of questions about those players and watching them and everything like that. This breaking is basically after a season's worth of a lot of discussion and talk about these players. So I think it is great to just kind of put it down on paper. But yeah, I think everyone should like and subscribe to broadsheethockey.com and the YouTube and the podcast and everywhere else. Again, I've already asked for departing words. I don't know if anyone else has anything else to say.
I'm done. I talk too much.
Yeah, me too.
Had to go sneeze.
I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. And in 2 weeks, we're going to be yelling about whatever player the Flyers eventually take. BSH forever. Bye.